Hello, it's Tootie Tagerly coming from you live close to noon, a little bit after Pacific time from San Francisco, California. So I'm energized. I went surfing this morning and I went surfing yesterday morning, and over again, being in the ocean, experiencing all aspects of surfing, both the force and the flow, teaches me different leadership lessons and connects me back to the things I'm working on personally and the things that I'm working on with my clients. And one of the keys for this is to recognize what your pattern is. I talk a lot today about force and flow. Force being structure, the schedules and rituals and ways that you do things, kind of the doing parts of life, um, as well as the flow, the ease, the being, just the emotions, the way that we flow into things, the doing and the being, the force and the flow. And I'm curious if you have a sense of what your pattern is. Which one are you more comfortable with? For me, and for many of the high achievers, high strung, driven professionals that I work with, we are all far more comfortable with force, with the structure, with the doing. This is what is typically valued and recognized in Silicon Valley and tech and the corporate world and in our world of getting shit done. It's a lot of what's been programmed into us, into our DNA. And over again, I find myself seeing patterns and clues to remind me to get more into flow. So I have two stories to share from yesterday and today, which are two different leadership lessons. Um, so I was at surfing yesterday. I had a really good session in the morning. Was great. Paddled back in. I was alone. Paddled back in. Went back to my car, and as I was putting down my surfboard, I noticed blood dripping. There were like blood deep red blood on my board, on the floor, everywhere, and I'm looking around. As some of you know, I've had a history of surfing injuries, so I'm like, look at my face, and then I notice that the blood is dripping from two of my fingers, and here, don't worry, it's pretty well healed right now, but that day it took 4 Band-Aids. So that's 4 and 4. So 8 Band-Aids to contain the blood and the dripping. Um, and it reminded me of this first lesson, which is that I had no idea that I had injured myself. I still don't know how. The water's cold, there's rocks, there's fins on the board, there's all of this stuff. And it really made me think of one of my clients that I was talking to this week. He is a hard driving co founder, also head of product, head of engineering, head of design, all of this. And recently I'd been dealing with some health issues that really were a warning sign to him that he had been working these relentless hours and weeks of focus for many months, if not years, if not his entire life. And so the first leadership lesson is listen to your body. It might be the first clue that you need rest because so many of us have brilliant minds. We are so into the force, the drive, the ambition, and the structure that we fail to notice some signs, some warnings, some signs of constant fatigue, not being able to sleep, of, maybe constant nagging pain. Um, And all too often, our bodies are part of our subconscious. Our bodies don't lie. It tells us what's going on in a way that is beneath the thinking brain. And that was what the bleeding, the injury reminded me of is that, hey, I had not even noticed it. So the first surfing leadership lesson is listen to your body. That can be the first clue that you need rest. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that, hey, we're all human. It's okay to slow down and rest and maybe stay out of the water for some time to take care of your health. Um, and that will only make you better, stronger, more driven, more successful. So that's the first story. The second story was this morning, and yes, I did not rest my finger. Again, patterns, habit. I'm good at the force. I was super excited because I was paddling out with a group of people I normally paddle out with, and we were going to a new break. And this break is like, oh my gosh. It is, it's right beside Mavericks. Mavericks is a renowned big wave break, one of the largest big wave breaks. I mean, there's only a handful in the world, whether it's that in the North Shore of Hawaii and in Portugal and Nazare. And what was really cool is this like little maybe secret, kind of secret hidden break wasn't Mavericks. Don't worry. I'm not that crazy to be a big wave surfer, but was around the corner from Mavericks, and there was a decent sized swell in the water. So the conditions were supposed to be perfect. From this break, you could see Mavericks, and I was going out with a group of people who were familiar with it, who could help me with the board and the paddling out and the location and how to avoid the rocks and how to work with the reef. And so I was super excited. Set my alarm for 5:45 a.m. Drove out in the dark, saw the first glimpses of daylight, just super excited, super motivated, a little bit fearful, but like, yes, we are going to do this. We are going to hit this. And then guess what? We sat there on the bluff looking at it, and the conditions were crap. It was foamy, wasn't quite right, you know, never seen it like that before. And so the lesson here is that, hey, you might keep pushing for these goals, for these things you really want to do, for these perfect conditions, and you might not get them. And that's okay. The key of leadership, the second leadership lesson of force and flow, is to remain unattached to the outcome. You can keep pushing for these goals, these things that you want, but somehow be unattached to the outcome because that's not controllable. I can't control the swell and the wave and the wind and all these conditions, even though, if we go back to force and flow, even though the guys I surf with who study this, who look at the buoys, who look at the wind prediction, there's a data scientist who looks at all the conditions and thinks that it is going to be amazing and we're going to score. Even when you put in all the force, the flow is, hey, there's things out of your control. So you can be unattached to the outcome. What you can do is get up every day, keep trying, keep going. That's the force. And then the flow. Be okay with whatever it is. All right, so that's what we did today. Surfing leadership lessons of force and flow. 1, listen to your body. It's the first clue that you need rest. Might be the first clue of burnout, to pause, to just do something different. And then secondly, yeah, be driven, be ambitious, work for that shit you want. But know that you have to remain unattached to the outcome because there's things that are completely out of your control. All right, that's it for today. See you next week. Bye.